welcome on in, everybody, to Tomes. I am one of your hosts, Jacen, and I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Cody.
What's up, guys?
And hopefully now that a recording will actually stay. I am so sorry for the past couple of weeks. So we found out that Zencastr is now only allowing up to 2 hours for recording per a month. So we had to find another workaround, and the workaround we're using is through Source Connect now. But it's been bugging the crap out of me. Like, I mean, technical bugs and just infuriating me.
Yeah, it's been working great for me. So I have all the recordings, but none of them have saved for Jacen. So
Yeah,
we're trying again.
We're trying again, and I have a backup now, just in case Source Connect screws me again. Anyway, because what happened was we recorded this episode last night, and then upon hitting end record, when we're all done, we're all set, Cody got his, I went to look at mine, and it was empty. I was like, what the heck? Refreshed it. Not there. Tried it again. It hit the record, but only did what I just did. So it was driving me batshit crazy. So hopefully now everything goes good. Hopefully this recording will stay. So with that online, unfortunately, this episode is going to be a little bit shorter than what we did last night. Because, yeah, the segment of this is we are talking about the Dungeons and Dragons movie, amoung Thieves. We're going to rehash, again, a lot of what we talked about, kind of get laughs and kind of summarize our verdict. So in every respect, this is take 2.
Yes. So the second take is always a little bit shorter because you know exactly what you want to say. You've already said it once before, and it's just going through it again.
Yeah. So, and again, a lot of we might have the same conversations. It might be a little bit different. When in doubt, if we get people who really want to hear what we did first time around, we have one half of that conversation. So if you really guys want that, hit us up in Discord and we'll let you know. Which, speaking of which, how you can get access to our Discord. All you have to do is go over to patreon.com/Tomes Podcast. And you can just subscribe to the first tier. It is $3. It's an only one-time payment. So if you want to be a part of it, want to join our Discord, be part of our community, head over to patreon.com/Tomes Podcast and sign up for one of the tiers. And each one of the tiers, you get more stuff. Like towards the top tier, I know later on this year, we're planning on starting to get into more streaming. If you're in those upper tiers, you're more welcome to join us on those streaming games. Like we could be playing Neverwinter, Return to Moria, just one of those games, and you'll have prime access to where you can join in on us playing and be part of the conversation and part of the live stream too. So that's just something cool we can kind of do for you guys.
We're excited to get to that point, start streaming with you guys and just having fun.
Yep. So real quick, before we dive in, we will do bullet point news. I know Cody really didn't have any news last night. Have you found any news today? Although don't trust today because we're recording on April 1st.
Exactly. The two things that I just brought up before was one that I am both Return to Moria and I am the new Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom will be coming out in the next couple of months. We don't know the exact date for Return to Moria, but we do know that the Tears of the Kingdom will be released on May 15th, and it looks amazing. They had a gameplay trailer recently that just looks phenomenal, and I'm so excited for that.
Oh, yeah, and I remember one of the other ones is there was a new Alien game coming out where it is like the kind of Marine Squadron. Again, not my taste, but if you're into that kind of stuff like XCOM, so it's very much that style, but set in the Alien universe. Beyond that, I went on a long rant last night about Brandon Sanderson's Wired article, which, I'm not even going to really get into it. The guy just sucks at writing and is extremely biased. So if you actually want a good article to read that is about Brandon Sanderson, that does him justice, check out the Esquire article they wrote about him. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description box below here, but I highly recommend a good read. It's actually really good. They dive more into Sanderson and the his overall empire. Because again, I think that's the best way to determine it. Just his production, because he's trying to revolutionize the indie book publishing. Because don't get me wrong, he still produces out of New York and all the bigger companies, but he's trying to kind of get his own foothold onto it. So indie publishers or people who are just trying to avoid Amazon could go through him instead. So again, it's just kind of cool to see kind of the groundwork, and the article covers it and covers some of the controversies with Brandon Sanderson. So I highly recommend it. It's a good read. It's good spirited, and it does address some of the criticisms in a good light. And I shouldn't say good light, in an honest, authentic way.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess that
But
brings us to our main topic for today.
yes, the Dungeons and Dragons movie, and we both loved it. It was just, it's still so good. I'm even thinking back. Okay, so actually, when me and Megan went not last night, 2 nights ago, we found out that her dad was considering going to see the movie around 9 o'clock. Our showing was at 9:30.
Oh man.
So she's just like, yeah, no, would be more than happy to join you and watch it again. And it was one of those, again, it's a movie I'm like, yeah, I'd be more than happy to see it again. It is just a good, solid, and funny movie.
It's true. I have a friend who was supposed to make it with us last night when we went to see it, but he
Okay.
wasn't able to. And so last night we were talking, and he was, I want to go so bad. I was like, if you go, I will go again to see this with you. I would love to see it again. It is such a great movie.
Oh, it's so good. Like, honestly, for me, it's just so refreshing. It is a good, authentic story. Like, I didn't feel any agenda was being pushed, just nothing like that. It was just good, solid, great storytelling.
Yeah, it really was. Which brings us to the first part of it all. What are the pros? Let's talk about all the things that we loved.
Yep. So, as I said before, the first pro I have on my list is great, fun story.
And it was.
So,
It was a really great and fun story, and it kept you entertained throughout all of it. The storyline kept. It was just. Like I said, it was just good.
it was, yeah, it was good. And actually, the overall concept of it was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Like, it was a simple idea. Like, and that's the thing. Actually, today I was watching a YouTube video comparing Family Guy and South Park when it comes to storytelling. Like, which one? It comes down to like which way of approaching it do you think is done better?
Okay.
And like Family Guy, it's like they just throw in a bunch of random gags, whereas with South Park, every single line is meant on the subject matter.
Oh yeah.
Which again, when you look at it, is like, oh yeah, that is kind of cool. And that's how I felt with at least the Honor Among Thieves. Is like every single thing that they talked about was important to the story.
Yeah.
Whether it was the character's backstory, whether it was just a foreshadowing of what was to come, it was all good. And yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Even the jokes kept you in the moment. Yeah. So I can definitely see that. For me, the first pro that I put was the diversity of personality. Every
Yes.
character was so unique. Everything from the typical paladin, who the high and mighty, I am going to speak in like the ancient, like in an ancient way type thing, and from there to the comedic bard, the sorcerer. Just everyone was so unique and brought something else to the table that just added more and more.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, what I found interesting is how they approach some of it. Because I was beginning to think about it, it's like, okay, the sorcerer. So in D&D, the sorcerer's main attribute for spellcasting is charisma. And what is he struggling with? Confidence.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, when he's like in the moment needs to do it, okay, he will buckle down, get it done. But that's because he's confident. He's like, I have no other choice. So I thought that was a very interesting character flaw that they put into him that he has to overcome, which really made me go, I like this sorcerer.
Yeah, that I didn't even think about that before, and I think that's definitely true. And by the way, guys, there will be heavy spoilers throughout this.
Yes.
We should have said that
Right.
earlier.
Yeah, right now, I think kind of what we said is just kind of glossing. So now we're getting into the deep spoilers.
Yes. Which, I mean, most of my pros won't be as deep, but the next one I have is the action sequences. They did a fantastic job transitioning into these different action sequences, and they were so well choreographed. Nothing was cheesy. Everything felt realistic, or at least A-list acting in choreography. And it felt very much like a D&D campaign in the sense of when they were out of combat, everyone was constantly joking, or there was jokes constantly throughout it. But the moment they get into combat, I mean, while there's still jokes being thrown around, they all of a sudden become very BA characters. all of them can do something and hit hard and do stuff that you feel in a campaign where it has that transition, like, okay, we're in combat now, and you have a different mindset.
Oh yeah, and actually that's one other thing that was on my pro list was just that attention to detail with the D&D references, from where they are based in Neverwinter, mentioning Baldur's Gate, Waterdeep, the coins that they have, and especially the rules when it comes to spell casting. In fact, there are
Yes.
points where, again, the sorcerer is having to speak magical words in order to cast a spell. And at one point, he's trying to swindle an entire theater out of their coin. And one of them like gets his hand over his mouth, and immediately you start seeing the spell kind of drop. And same with again, I know we'll cover the final fight in greater detail,
Yes.
but where the red wizard is up there casting, casted animates object, and that's a concentration spell, so they just knock her, like hit her once, and then the spell drops because she lost concentration. Just the amount of detail they really went in with the D&D rules, the D&D world, is really what blew me away.
Yeah, I love that. I love that attention to detail as well.
I was gonna say, even down to how the players got creative, like the staff of hither thither.
Yes.
Like that was just so well executed. Like it goes from like, oh, the convenient DM dropping in the rod of hither thither so they can get across a chasm because they accidentally blew out the bridge prematurely.
Oh man, that was such a great part. Which brings me to one of my points, which is the comedy. The comedy, while there's a lot of it, it's done very well. There's some slapsticky comedy in there, but none of it feels over the top. Everything fits in with it. The only point, like there was one point in one of my personal favorite scenes where it feels like it's getting a little too long on the joke, but then they bring it right back, and it's hilarious, and it's even funnier after.
Yeah, the call, like was it Told the Dead? Call of the Dead? What's the name of the spell?
So Speak to Dead.
Speak to Dead.
I think
That's
is the
right, that's
spell.
Still, I love how they're like, okay, so after you got out of the tub, you then went to battle. No, I died. But wait, aren't you so-and-so? Oh, you're looking for my brother. That's over there.
No, I'm Sven. He's Ven. Yep, speak with dead.
Speak with that. I gotta throw in like a little Olaf meme. It's like,
Anna,
And who's the funky-looking donkey over there?
that's Sven.
Uh-huh. And who's the reindeer?
Sven?
Oh, okay. Make things easier
oh,
for
and
me.
you are Sven.
Yeah. Oh man, that was such a great part though.
It is so funny, and even at the very end when they finally got the answer, they still had a question to ask.
Yup. They just leave.
They just leave them. Like at that point, oh, that'd actually be an interesting idea for a Lich character.
Did you see the mid-credit scene?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
He's still up. Yeah, that's why the thought came to mind. Is like, imagine that. An entire like Lich or demi-Lich comes back to life and they ask him questions, but they forgot to ask him the last question. So he's able to rule and reign until someone from the original party comes up and asks him a question. That is his weakness. Like, he will not die. Nothing will kill him, but if you ask him a question, he dies.
That would be hilarious.
Oh, that would be gold. That would be awesome.
All right. That's a new BBEG for us. We got to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, Waterspec, we already saw that kind of thing, but it's in Monty Python. What is your name?
Fair enough. Oh man.
Goes on in. Ooh, that could even be an interesting like character, maybe.
That would be. It could just be a fun character to play. You just
Yeah,
go
play
through
a
a year
character.
as an undead throughout all of it.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
you can only answer up to 5 questions, but for you every time someone asks you a question, you have to make a wisdom saving throw to see if you can just not answer it.
Well, I was thinking more of like what you talked about, where it's the original party. Once
Yeah.
someone from the original party asks you the final question, you're just done.
Oh, okay.
And so
Okay.
you're just going through, just like, I can't die. Nothing happens to me. I just got to keep going until this happens. Until and then someone casts a counter spell on you.
Yeah, that'll do the trick too. Oh, but no, what I was thinking was like, okay, the player character, he's like, yeah, I had this great, crazy life, and then a group of adventurers woke me up, and they never asked me the last two questions,
Yeah.
and they left me. So I decided to go up on my own, and I found another party of my own. And it turns out the party that asked him the questions turned into like the BBEG.
Or it can be a chaotic neutral type one, or even a semi-evil campaign, and your entire goal is to hunt down.
Oh yeah, true. Look at us, inspired by the Dungeons and Dragons movie to make new characters. And I think that was like one of the cool things with the movie itself, like especially that labyrinth.
Yes.
For the games, like it's very much one of those like, now I have ideas. Like instead of just the general gladiatorial 1v1 match, okay, yeah, we're doing a sports game where each party's going to go in. There's going to be a monster that's trying to hunt you down. You got to find your equipment. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome. I love those games. I actually do have an idea for another character though, real quick.
Okay.
He's an Aarakocra. His name is
Is it
Jonathan.
Yes, yes, I love Jonathan. So he's still my favorite character of all time. So the thing I addressed in the last video is one of the things I absolutely loved that this film did is that it did like give voice to some of the DM complaints.
Yes.
And for me, chief among them was you have your characters. They are trying to persuade you. They give you just like the best telling story. And so you purposefully, as they're telling it, you're like, okay, I'm dropping the DC as you're telling me the story. And then upon you're like, okay, you know what? As they're deliberating, trying to decide, in comes Jonathan, the Aarakocra. They're like, sweet, okay, we're going to take him and shove him out the window. Wait, what? What?
We were giving you a pardon.
But we're going to give you a pardon. We're going to let you guys off.
Oh, man. It's just so great. Just completely blindsides the DM with that.
And it's just, they do it so well. And I love how throughout the story that the bard is telling them, he's like, you know, I think Jonathan would really appreciate the story. Oh, Jonathan, he would know the location I'm talking about.
Yep. How long do you think till Jonathan gets here? Get back to the story. Okay.
It's like, you know, should we just wait for Jonathan? He's stuck in a snowstorm. Okay, but should we just wait for, just go.
I think we're capable of deciding your fate. Oh man, it's so great.
And then at the very end, the villain is trying to do the exact same thing, but they boarded up the window.
Yep, just run smack that into a brick wall.
What's funny is when that scene came back up, in my mind's eye, I heard Victor from Critical Role saying, "I learned from my mistakes."
Oh man. Yep.
It was so good.
It was. And there's so many more pros we could talk about. But
there really are. Like the entire film is so good. Like we love our chunky boy dragon.
Yes. Personal favorite of mine.
Love how personal favorite. Like honestly, again, and the way they did the monster CGI and all that, it was done very well. And except for a few exceptions. Like
which brings us into the cons.
Exactly. So since I started the Dean Kamen segue here,
yes,
some of the special and practical effects could have just gone and had a once more over, or they could have implemented some of the older practical effects strategy. Like again, my biggest pet peeve was Bradley Cooper's halfling, because it literally looked like they went into like Photoshop, Illustrator, whatever, After Effects, and they just clicked on him and then scaled him down. That was it.
Yeah, it did. And I think they did that on purpose, but at the same time, it was just a little wonky. And the way they did it with the Lord of the Rings, with the way they did the shots and all of that, the camera play just would have been better.
Yeah.
But I just
would have been
definitely agree.
Yeah, it would have been better. Don't get me wrong, it would have been harder because because again, I actually looked it up when me and Megan came home that night because it was just bugging. It's like, why couldn't they do the Hobbit shot? And I looked at it, and actually what they did is they made replicas of all the props, put it on a table, had Ian McKellen sit on a chair that would actually swivel with the camera.
Yeah.
So it's more physically demanding, whereas I'm pretty sure, again, one of the producers like, we'll let it in post.
A lot of this is CGI, and that is one of the flaws with today's movies, is too much is done CGI because of how much they can do. But
Yes.
then there's always a downside to things, and this happens to be it. And this is a nitpick. As a whole, it's really not that big of a deal. It's just, it's a nitpick, and it's something that we don't, it kind of bugs us. For me, for the CGI, it was the the wild shape shifts into the Falcon. That bird just was way too fake, way too CGI. That one kind of bugged me at the time, but I forgot about it after until we were talking about it again.
Yeah, and then there were some of the practical effects. Like anytime a non-human was talking, the lip flaps just did not line up.
Yep, and like you talked about, the cat that got pulled out of the fish
Was very stiff in its movement, like was very animatronic.
Yep.
Like these are nitpicks. Like overall, the movie was fantastic. What we're talking about are little nitpicks, and the last like CGI thing I had or special effects was the Paladin's armor. It just felt a little too thin. I think at one point I did shift off his shoulder a little bit.
It definitely could have.
I think it was during the action sequence, which again, it's bound to happen because with so much movement.
Oh, definitely.
So it's bound to happen. It's one of those little nitpick things that, because again, you look at the Neverwinter Guard's armor, it looks good. It looks flush. It looks like actual legit armor. Whereas when it goes to the Paladins, who's supposed to be like big, grandiose armor, it looks a little too thin and it's very shifty, it's just a little off.
Yep. So something I actually thought of since last night. Actually, I had it written down, but I forgot to talk about it. But it's a similar thing, and it's the axe.
Yes.
Michelle Rodriguez's axe. Originally, I really liked it. The original setup with it and the gag with it, I loved. Mm-hmm. But once it's put into the fire, the
molten lava,
the molten steel, and it adds to it, it just looks fake. And it looks bad to me. It looks like plastic.
Yeah, it looks a little funky, to be honest.
But I understand the point of it. And also, I also just don't like it because now it's no longer sharp. It's now a blunt object. And
it's now a warhammer instead of an axe.
Warhammer, yeah. But she still uses it like an axe.
Yeah. Like, it would be one thing if it was like it was enchanted and then with every swing it does fire.
Yeah.
Fire damage.
That would have been cool.
That would be dope. But unfortunately they didn't go down that route.
Yeah. But that's okay. Even so, it still works. It was just something that I was thinking about.
Yeah, like again, I repeat, these are nitpicks. Like overall, everything was good. Actually, okay, I did have one little criticism with Rodriguez swinging the axe in the final fight. At one point, you can just see her do like the wide miss.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the wide miss in the axe follow through. And like the dragon is supposed to react and getting the hit. The stone dragon.
Yep.
And it's supposed to like react with it. I'm just like, okay, they needed to scoot it up a little bit more to cover up the axe. And then that movement would work.
Yeah.
But I repeat, these are nitpicks, okay? Everything overall was fantastic. Like, as we've said again, we'd be more than happy to go and watch it, and I'm actually excited to go out and own it.
Me too.
It's just so good.
That's one of the first things I said to my wife is, like, we're buying this movie. And then I'm going to sit down and we'll do a breakdown of this and be like, what spells were used in this movie?
Oh, yeah, and actually at one point I was like, oh, that's Firebolt. Oh, that's Chain Lightning.
Yep. And then there was Scorching Ray was used.
Oh, yeah.
In the very last fight. Mm-hmm. Which, one of them, I loved this. There was a Nat 1 in that last fight with the Scorching Ray. Did you notice it?
No, I didn't. Oh, my gosh.
one of the rays hits one of his friends. It actually hits the wild shape.
Oh.
You see it hit her, and just she goes flying off to the side after it.
He's like, ah. And I repeat, I just love the details. And again, it's a Dungeons and Dragons movie, so it's got to have Dungeons and Dragons tabletop elements. And it's just, it's so good.
It's true. It is. I have one last nitpick, and that was at the last fight, and I know we talked about this last night, but it still bugs me a little bit, is there wasn't enough variety in the wild shape towards the end of the show. The second half of it, there was just a lot less wild shaping. It was still, whenever it was done amazing. The use of it was perfect. Everything was spot on. There was just a couple of times where it felt like she could have changed into something else. But as you pointed out, in the middle of combat, why are you going to change it up when it's working and might not have that moment to think about it? You're just go. Yeah, so it makes sense why, but
yeah, and I began thinking about it too, and then I thought about one thing with wild shape or polymorph. You have to know the creature. You have to at least have seen it or at least know about it. She's been in the woods most of her life, hasn't she? What other creature could she have met? Again, I'm posing this as an open forum question.
Yeah, well, it's the thing that early on, she has a lot of diversity in her wild shape. On the wild shape, she goes from the worm, she has the hawk, she has a deer, she has and she transitions between different ones. During trying to escape the castle. And so in this last fight, I could definitely have seen her using that wild shape more to transition, once she gets knocked and flying through the air, to transition to a bird and then swoop back around and transform back into the owlbear and hit. Things like that.
Okay, I could see that.
And so that's what I was referring to with the diversity of the wild shape.
Okay, because in my mind's eye, I was just like, well, okay, she's sticking as an owlbear. What other creature could pack the same kind of punch as an owlbear?
Yeah, so it's more utility than aggression. The owlbear is her aggressive animal, and I love that. So that was my little thing with it. And that was it.
Yeah, it's a nitpick, and that one I feel like we could kind of debate on. Well, they were stuck in combat. She's not going to just drop owlbear to assume a hawk, go back around, then reassume owlbear just for the sake of it, because by the time you get punched in the face, your brain has gone, okay, turn into hawk now.
Yeah.
It's more like, I'm still owlbear, I'm going to punch you harder.
Oh, definitely.
Which, again, I still love, even at the very end. It's like, how do you want to do this, owlbear? I want to be the Incredible Hulk, like in the Avengers, and just smack it into the cement. And then I'm going to chuck her.
I'm still laughing so hard. Every time I picture that ending scene, I just start laughing. I can't help it. It is so funny. It is so morbid. It's morbidly funny, and I love it.
Oh, same here. And I love the ragdoll effect.
Yep.
She gets tossed into the wall and just, I think you kind of see her try to get up, and then.
Yep, it's that midway point. I think that'll do it. You see, grabs her. Boom, 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 boom.
It's very much like, kill it with fire.
It's not dead. Kill it, kill it, kill it.
Double tap.
Oh, so funny.
Which.
One of the one of the comedy things I just thought about that was so great with the timing is that is right after that scene, or right around that scene, where they come back. So it's right before all that, sorry. But when they come back to the city, and the main bad guy, their old friend, is sitting there and just goes up to the dockmaster. We need to get ships together. They stole my ship as High Magistrate. I am going to do this. And then it crashes into the dock next to him. He goes, oh.
Never mind. Found it.
Yep. I was like, that's perfect. That was just great.
Oh, it was fantastic. And again, the movie's just fantastic. Highly recommend. I think the last con I had was it gets predictable towards the end.
It does.
It gets very predictable. As soon as you see that stone tablet, you're like, coming from, again, me and Cody both DM, so we kind of have a similar thinking of just I wonder who they're going to use that on.
Yeah. Also right now, so I'm taking a Russian literature class, and one of the big elements that we talk about is called Chekhov's gun. It's from one of the plays written by Chekhov, and it's used a lot in movies and such. And this one wasn't quite a Chekhov's gun, because this played more an important role. But essentially, what Chekhov's gun is that in the play, there was a gun hanging on the back wall, and it's just a background object. At the end of the play, they end up using that gun, and it's a major plot point. But it's things like that, and so it just leads into it. It's all foreshadowing with little details, and so I'm very aware of those type of things right now as well. But like I was talking about last night, I heard 3 or 4 people as I walked out of the theater mention something along the lines of, "Oh, I didn't expect that," or "I didn't expect to cry during this movie." Those things, and so while we're a little tilted on that.
But yeah, no, some people are, again, and that's where for us, again, especially us, sorry, we do read books. I didn't know about Chekhov's gun. I didn't know that was a thing. Learn something new every day.
Yes. Yep. A couple instances of it to illustrate the point. One of them is the fifth element. At the very start of it, the main character, Bruce Willis, he goes to light a cigarette and he has 2 matches left. And so he uses one for that and puts the other one away. Ends up using that match later on in it for a major scene. Another instance listed is for the movie Signs.
Okay.
So what, for
I was
Pirates?
thinking Pirates of the Caribbean because they talk about Johnny Depp and the one bullet. Again, talking Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yes.
And he finally uses it on Barbossa to actually kill him.
Yeah, that definitely could be. So yeah, it's things like that. The other one I was gonna say is from Signs, where the daughter hates water, or not hates water, but she never finishes a cup of water, and then that comes back as the reason that they're able to kill the demon. Which I hold out that those are actually demons, not aliens. We can have that discussion another time, though.
Okay. Demons from the warp, I see. Okay.
But anyways, let's talk a little bit more about that final fight, and I think that'll be
yes.
Yeah.
Good point to end it. Yeah. So the final fight, again, as I was saying before, was predictable as we saw what we were seeing with Red Wizard's dagger. We see Chris Pine's character. It's like, okay, we have this, and it was predictable. I was like, okay, who are they going to use it on? I don't think they're going to use it on the Village Lord, the Neverwinter's Lord, because he's out. So who in the party is going to die? And so the fact that it was Michelle Rodriguez's character made the best sense. And as that was happening, as she was like dying, I'm just like, this is where we're using it.
Yep. That's exactly what I thought too. And unfortunately for me, it made it so I didn't feel any of the emotion of the moment.
Oh, same here. Same here. It was like, okay, I should say, like, I didn't personally feel it, but I acknowledge that was the feeling they were trying to provoke.
Yes.
It's like, it's a weird kind of out-of-body experience that I'm explaining it.
Yes, I had the exact same feeling. It's like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be feeling. Oh, I'm a sociopath. That's right.
Well, for us, it's not really like sociopath-ish. It's more on like, we've seen enough literature, we've written enough literature where we can kind of see the element that they're trying to do. They have foreshadowed this monolith, this tablet that will bring someone back from the dead. And throughout this entire movie, it's been Chris Pine's character has been having dreams on that he needs to let go of his wife and move on.
Yep.
And so for me, I was just like, okay, I can appreciate the beauty that they're trying to do with this, that he has now officially let go and is going to use this item to bring back the daughter's mother figure.
Exactly. So, and that's what I loved, is that he did use it to bring back her mom. Because that's who her mom was. Because being a mom isn't just being who you're born to. It's who raised you, who was there through everything. And that's what I thought was really cool point made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really cool. That family is not just in blood.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, so then one of my just with the final fight, it just was done so well. I love that it had different elements to it. So the beginning of the fight, they were a lot more spread out. And it kind of felt like they were trying different things. Everyone had their own moments where they did really great. But they were still losing that first half of the fight.
Oh yeah.
That was really cool where they're all having to step back and trying to get in, but they're all kind of failing, and it was a struggle. And then they have what you called last night the Avengers moment, where it all goes in, they all get in close, and it just thing after thing after thing where it's just going to town against her. Oh
yeah, they just start whacking, and I love how Chris Pine is now actually participating in the fight, even though the only weapon he has is his instrument.
Yes.
Which I'm more surprised that thing didn't break.
I know, right? I was expecting it to. That thing must be made out of some godly material.
It's got to be made of like this gray elder wood that is passed down from generation to generation that was actually used to slay a dragon.
But really, that loot is so indestructible. It literally sat in that room for 2 years. It got completely dunked underwater. He smashed it against a red wizard, and it still plays. The amount of times it's still in tune.
It's just one of those things. It's like, actually, the only thing that has character plot armor is that instrument.
Yep, that loot is the only thing with plot armor.
But shouldn't that thing break? No, it's got plot armor.
Exactly.
Bam!
I'm just saying, he definitely got sneak attack on that attack. He got the sneak attack damage.
Absolutely.
Which actually brings me a point I forgot to argue with you last night.
Oh,
I know he is officially a bard, but I propose he is actually a rogue mastermind, and his weapon of choice is the loot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, actually, I thought that's what I was trying to say too. Is like he is more of the rogue, like he has the rogue class, because a bard can do spell casting, he can do it all, but since he is more focused on the instrument, that is where I say he is definitely a rogue archetype. Where again, and his weapon could be the loot. Actually, yeah, his weapon is the loot.
His weapon is the loot. So he is officially a bard, and he does have magic. His magic is persuasion, and so they did that for thematic elements. I did some research on this yesterday after the movie, because I was having this debate with someone else, and I was like, I'm gonna say rogue mastermind, and that's still what I feel as far as D&D classes. But they were just trying to change things for it to be thematic. And I agree with that. I think it was a great way to do it, and to make it so the bard isn't. I mean, this would make them not as heavy with spellcasters. And just I thought it was a good way to do it.
Yeah, it was a good way to do it. And again, I just love how this group is not the murder hobos.
They're not, even though they very much so could be.
Oh, it takes Chris Pine going, screw it, we kill them all.
Yup. He is their conscience.
That's all it takes. Yeah, that's all it takes.
Yup.
Yeah, and the druid. Like, honestly, okay, I felt like the druid is like this. I say she was a little bit of a Mary Sue, but she had other faults to where she wasn't like this all in one being.
Yeah, I agree.
She was still crafty. She was still creative. She was still wise. But there are times where, again, it was more on she doesn't know everything. Like falling into the gelatinous cube.
Yes.
It was then like, oh, I have an idea now.
Yeah. And I can see where you're coming from about her being a Mary Sue. The only reason why I'll disagree is because, like you said, she has flaws. She isn't all powerful, and she doesn't get out of every situation. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I really enjoy, is every character felt human, even if they weren't.
Yes. Yeah, especially the druid being a tiefling.
Yeah, I was just well done.
It is so well done, and I thought that was an interesting take on a tiefling, where I think she's half human.
Yes,
correct.
Half human.
Yeah, so that's where it's like, okay, it makes sense why she looks human with just horns and a tail.
Yeah.
Like everything they did made sense. Like again, I say Mary Sue just because she was able to get out of most situations, but this is the main difference between a good character and a Mary Sue. It was close. Like that entire chase scene out of the castle, where she is transforming into every single animal she can under the sun, because in my mind's eye, I can see the player going crap, 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 crap.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it a difference. Because if it was a Mary Sue, she could have just walked out.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, she's smart. She goes through it. That's why I was like, there is like the touch of like I say Mary Sue element, or just like she will succeed. I should say it's actually more the protagonist.
Okay.
Like, oh, was it? Yeah, main character plot armor.
Yeah.
That I think that should be it.
Yeah, definitely has plot armor, but it was still really well done.
It was still close.
It was very
just
close, and you felt like it was close. You felt like she very possibly could get hurt or even potentially killed. I wasn't sure which way when she was originally getting out, if it was going to be that like she makes it out, but she's mortally wounded.
Yeah, I was expecting her to come back like, okay, holding her arms. She's like, all right, I got hurt. I'm out for a little bit. I'll still adventure with you guys, but I'm going to need a little bit longer.
Yeah. And I think with the way they did it was great. I think it worked perfectly, but I could have seen it going another way entirely. And it was a toss up. And I'm just, it's honestly the thing of like, whew, I'm glad they made it out of this. And you feel relieved for the character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like it did keep you on the edge of your seat. And that's what makes a good character fun.
Yes.
Is when you are on the edge of your seat. When we see something like Captain Marvel, who just solo bodies an entire ship. Like that's where it's just like, that's not fun. That's not interesting.
Yup. Captain Marvel's its own beast.
Oh yeah, which we're not even gonna get into that. I just brought it up for the reference.
Yeah.
But so our overall rating.
Yes, overall rating. I still give it a solid 4.5 out of 5.
And as we got talking, I was like, you know what? I'm agreeing with you. It's a 4.5.
Yep.
The minus 0.5 for just they could have done better research and put in more time for the special effects.
Yeah.
Other than that, solid film.
Yep. That's exactly it. The only gripe is the special effects had that minor, just a little bit less quality than it could have. Other than that, everything phenomenal. The comedy, phenomenal. The action, phenomenal. Character development, even phenomenal.
And for me, the biggest part is it's the story.
Yeah.
The story was fantastic. The story was well executed. A, B, C, all the way to the end. It was great. It was good. And I just loved it. Because don't get me wrong, some of the fighting, some of the special effects, polish. Needs a little bit more polish. Needs a little bit more like refinement to it.
Yeah.
But overall, it was fun. It was enjoyable, which that is what we need in movies, is it needs to be fun and needs to be enjoyable. Unless it is a tragedy, then it just needs to be enjoyable and tragic.
Yes. Exactly. Well, I think that's a good place to put the bookmark. We'll pick it up again next time.
All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.